morning, everybody. Welcome to lesson 2 in our art history unit. Today we're going to be studying Georges Seurat, and he did Pointillism, which is a series of dots. So remember, we are going to start each of our lessons with a review of some of the complicated vocabulary that might come up in our excerpt. Today's excerpt is only about 2 pages long. And I highlighted the words that I wanted to focus on, and I told you we would do a different vocabulary activity today to show you different ways to do vocabulary. Now, I started on the chalkboard side of my kids' thing so that you can see this activity, because since I'm recording myself, I can't really show you physically, so I'm going to show you this. So today I have 4 words that I wanted to focus on. And the words are complex, exhibition, optics, and pointillism. And then so what we're going to do for this particular activity is I want you to imagine a room or even your backyard if it's a nice day. And what you would do is on one end of the yard, you would have all of the words over here on cards face down. So on one end, I would have my words complex, exhibition, pointillism, and what was the other one? Optics on one side. And then I would have my cards with the definitions on the other side. And what I would do is I would have if I only have one kid, then I would just have them run. 1 or 2 kids, just have them run. If I have multiple kids, like a family of 4 kids or more, I'd put them into teams, and then I would do it like a relay race. So they have to run. You set them up on the side with the definitions. Those X's are the kids. They would run, grab one word at a time, one card, bring it back, and try to match it with the definition. Run again, get a word, one word at a time, bring it back, match the definition, so far and so on and so forth. So this gets them moving, it gets them thinking, and just like yesterday, you would show them what words did you get correct. I would switch a couple of them up, things like that. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about it, feel free to message me or comment. All right, so I'm going to turn this around now. And I am going to go through the vocabulary with you today. Let me adjust the screen a bit. And here's our final product for today. As you notice, it's made up of a bunch of dots. Now, I did mine with paint, and I'll show you some variations you can do with younger kiddos and older kiddos to make this more complex or more simple, okay? Items you'll need are the passage. I did paint. You can do marker. You can do colored pencils. A blank sheet of this, and then the cards that you can write the definitions on for everything. And that should about cover it. Oh, and actually, I did this with Q-tips. So you could do Q-tips or the back of a pencil or anything. So what I did was I dipped my Q-tips in a series of colors, and then I just pointed them around. Okay, so I'll go into that a little bit more later. But that's the materials you'll need for this one. Okay, so we have a public display of works of art or items of interest, the scientific study of sight and the behavior of light, a technique of neo-impressionist painting using tiny dots of various pure colors which become blended in the viewer's eye, and consisting of many different and connected parts. So our words today are exhibition. This is the public display of works of art. We have pointillism, which is the technique of neo-impressionist painting using tiny dots. Okay. Optics, the scientific study of sight and the behavior of light. And complex, which is consisting of many different and connected parts. So this is actually, I think that this is a really fun activity to do with kids because you can vary it so much based on their ability level. So and what they're willing to sit through. It takes a great deal of patience to do this, say, with a fine-tipped paintbrush or with a coloring pencil. Like, I have a very clear memory of being in a high school art class, shout out to Mr. Welsh, where we did pointillism and we did shadowing with it with just a regular pencil. And so we would use the dots to shadow some parts of our image more than the other parts, and it was like I just keep hearing the click, 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 click of the pencil against the table. So it just depends on how much they're willing to sit through. So let's get started. So George Seurat, again, I'm going to just skim this with you. I will do the annotation in a different video, the writing activity in a different video. But he grew up in France. He was in Paris, and his parents were wealthy, and so he could focus on his art. He didn't have to worry about making a living with it. He had to serve a year in the military. He set up an art studio not far from his parents' house, and because his parents were so supportive, he was able to explore as much as he could with the art that he chose. If you Google image Georges Seurat and you look at his paintings, it's incredible because they're made up of just a compilation of dots. And but there are places that rejected his work, which was really interesting. So everybody goes through defeat and failure sometimes, or feels that way. But then he began to explore the science and optics of color, and he found that rather than mixing the colors of paint on a palette, he could just place tiny dots of different colors next to each other on the canvas, and the eye would mix the colors. So this is kind of what your computer does too, right? Like, it has the pixels. This is what he did on his paintings. And so he used pure colors just next to each other, and he was very detail oriented. And today we call it pointillism. And let's see here. The painting, the one that I recognize the most is the one, I know it's in black and white, but I think you might recognize this one. Sunday on the Island of the La Grande Jatte. Sorry for my pronunciation. That one is all dots, and it took him 2 years to make. Like, he took a really long time to make this particular painting. So, like I said, this one's only 2 pages. I don't think I came across anything that was incredibly inappropriate for any age level. Again, if you have the older kids, you can have them do a little bit more research. You can have them make a connection between pointillism and pixelation in our TVs and computers and our phones. You can have compare and contrast and have them search more artists who use this method. And then again, if you have the little kids, like my kids' age, you can just make it like a coloring activity, or it just march to the beat of your kid's drum. You don't want to make this super stressful. This is just a thing that you can do. So here's my beautiful piece of art again, I know. So this one I did with Q-tips and just washable kids paint. I did different shades of green because I didn't have brown. What are you gonna do? I would say with the younger kids, I would do with the Q-tip and paint. Maybe for like Isla's age, she's like almost 2. I would maybe give her like just a thicker tip marker and have just marker dots. This particular painting took me about, 5 minutes or so, right? 10 minutes with the setup and cleanup. You can take this to a whole nother level. If I were to do this with colored pencils instead, it would take me days probably. If I wanted to decorate the background of this, even longer. You can add flowers, grass, sun, clouds, whatever. Again, just like yesterday, if you decide you don't want the template or the outline, you can just do it on a plain sheet of paper, and you don't have to do a tree. You can choose anything. You can do a self-portrait. You can do a flower. You can do a heart. You can do a house. You can do your dog. It doesn't matter. You can push your limits however you want, but the goal here, the main thing here is you're not stroking anything. You are just doing dots. Pointillism. However you do that, dots. So that's the point. And then the cool part of this is, so I only did different shades of green. Had I been more detail oriented, could have added some yellows, some blues, some reds, and then made it a little bit more artistic. I don't know. Again, your kiddo's the artist. If they want a blue tree, you can have a blue tree if you're down with that. If you want to be more purist about it, you can do it that way too. Doesn't matter. So this is going to be entry number 2 in our art book that we're going to make. So keep the work that you had before. Again, a call back to yesterday's entry number 1, Van Gogh. And then you're going to have, this one is going to be next, Seurat with his Pointillism. Okay, so we learned about Impressionism and Pointillism so far. And then I look forward to seeing you tomorrow to see what you want to do tomorrow. I have it ready to go for you. Enjoy.